Today on CodeDependent, we're going to talk about one of the new effects that we're offering in Flex 4 called AnimateFilter. This one was developed by Corey Galusier on the SDK team. This gives us the ability to animate flash filters over time. So one of the key differences with Flex 4 effects and the earlier effects that we had in Flex 3 is that we can actually target arbitrary objects. So it used to be the case that basically we could only animate the properties of UI components in most cases. Well, now the objects that we can target can be arbitrary. They can be gradient entries that we can animate the color on. They can be components. They can be these graphics objects, the new graphics tags in Flex 4. They can also be filters. So in the case of AnimateFilter, we need to supply two target objects. One is the object that the filter is actually being applied to by the flash player, and then the other object is the filter itself, and it's that filter that we're animating properties on. So let's take an example here. So we have an application I call glowing button. And when I hover over the button, maybe I want an indication that there is something important going to happen when this is the active button. So if someone clicks on it, I want to give an indication that they should know that this thing is active. So as I hover on it, we place a filter on that object, a glow filter, and then we want to animate the alpha property of that glow filter over time and get this sort of red pulsation effect. So now let's see how it works. So we have a little bit of script code. This is just to do an import and also to cache a variable that we use. So ignore that. That's mostly implementation details. We have a declarations block, which is a new Flex 4ism for the place where we declare our non-visual items in markup. We have a glow filter. So this is the flash filter. It's actually a Flex class. So one of the new enhancements that we have in Flex is that we wrap all of the flash filters by our own versions of the filters. Same API, but before, when you changed properties on the filter, you actually needed to go in and reset the filters on the target object because those filters wouldn't automatically be updated by the flash player. So we actually take care of that for you now. So if you update the alpha property on a filter, say, as we're going to do in this effect, we will automatically reapply the filters to the target object so that you don't need to do that. So we declare our glow filter here, we give it an ID of glow, and then we give it a fairly large X and Y area so we have a nice sort of big fuzzy red glow around our button. And then we have the AnimateFilter effect declared. ID of glower, we're going to target the button itself, but we're going to use a bitmap filter of this glow filter that we've declared above, the glow here. We're going to have a duration of 600 milliseconds, and we're going to use some new repeat behavior that we have, which is another new feature in Flex 4 effects. Previously, you could have a repeat count and you could have a repeat delay, but basically it would repeat in the same direction over and over again. And if you wanted reversing behavior, which you do in the sort of pulsation effect that I'm showing here, then you basically needed to declare the effect twice, once playing this way and then the other time playing the other way, and wrap those both in a sequence effect. Well, now you can have a single effect and say, I want this to repeat infinitely, repeat count of 0, and I want the repeat behavior to be reversing. So it gets to the end of the effect, and then it restarts and plays in the other direction, and keeps going until you finally get bored and quit the application. Inside of that, we have a single simple motion path declared. Simple motion path is how you declare the properties that you're interacting on, and then the values that those properties go between. So for this simple motion path, we want to animate the alpha of that filter, and we want to go from a value of 0, which is completely transparent, to a value of 1, which is completely opaque. So we want the filter to be invisible, and then completely opaque, and then back to invisible over time to get the pulsation that we're looking for. Here's the button that we declare. We give it an ID so that we can target the filter appropriately. And when there's a mouse over event, and we say, if the thing isn't animating already, go ahead and play our animation and then set the animating variable to true. And when the mouse moves out of there, if it's animating already, then end the effect and then set our variables so that we know what to do next time the event happens. If you want to see the source code for this application and other related applications, go to my blog at graphics-geek.blogspot.com.